In a recent Rasmussen poll, they asked Americans, do people who don't speak English annoy you? Well, it turns out 46% of Americans said yes, 36% of Americans said no, and 18% of Americans said C. This is Majority Rules, and I'm your host, Don McMillan. This is the show where we use the science of polling to find out exactly how Americans feel. Then we break down those statistics one punchline at a time. Now, before we go any further, a little disclaimer about statistics. It turns out that 41.6% of all statistics are made up. And I know that's true because I made it up. But it's not wrong. It's not. Want to know why? Because that statistic has a margin of error of plus or minus 60%. So technically, it is correct. So let's get to our first poll question of the evening. We asked 200 Americans, should we keep score in youth sports? Now, if you have a kid like I do, I have a 10-year-old, and he plays baseball and football and basketball, and you know if you have a kid, they don't keep score. Every game ends in a tie. There are no winners and losers. Well, how do Americans feel about that? We asked them. Well, it turns out that 43% of Americans said no, you shouldn't keep score. 32% of Americans said yes, you should keep score. And 25% of Americans said, you know, both yes and no are equally fine answers. So we asked our esteemed panel here on Majority Rules, are participation medals in youth sports building self-esteem, or are they leaving our youth unprepared for the realities of the real world? Let's go to our first panelist. I'm pretty sure I know how he's going to feel about participation medals. What do you think, Mike Ditka?